Welcome back, everybody, to the Courage to Sell podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Burlingame, joined as always by my co-host, Joe Marcoux. And Joe, we've got a very special guest today, somebody that you've connected with recently. So would you mind giving a warm and welcome intro for her, for
You
us?
bet. So everybody, I'm really excited to have Laura Posey with us. Laura is I'm going to say a new friend, new contact, a new friend. She and I are both members of what's called the JVMM, the Joint Venture Mastermind. And this is an opportunity for us to meet and potentially work with other people and grow our network, because as we know, your net worth is a direct reflection to your network. And Laura is a international speaker. She is a consultant. And what I love is that Laura resonated for me, the work that she does with small business and entrepreneurs. She's an expert in what she does. She is the founder of Simple Success Plans. And I want to welcome Laura Posey to the Courage to Sell podcast show. Welcome, Laura.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love doing this kind of stuff. This is great.
One of the things that I wanted to, hand the mic over to Jeff, because Jeff did some mentoring in the fitness space, in the gym ownership space. And these are a lot of small business owners for 6 years. And there's a correlation that I think the two of you are going to be able to have a great conversation. And I'm going to pipe in. So Jeff, as a gym mentor, if you were to have somebody who was mentoring you, what would be a question that you'd want to ask Laura? Because that's exactly what she does. She helps to take the difficult challenges that people have and the complex, and she makes it simple. What would you want to ask her first?
Yeah, and I think that's a great reason for anybody to look for a mentor in any specific area. So, Laura, if you're mentoring people in any space, but specifically like entrepreneurs, right? Mine was niche down to gym owner entrepreneurs. But what we described ourselves as doing was kind of like cutting through the BS, like really helping people navigate those decisions. At one point, I tried to describe it to people using the analogy of the GPS. It's like if you're going from point A to point B, and point B is a place you've never been to before, do you just wander the city streets until hopefully you wind up at point B? Or do you plug it into the GPS? Do you ask good old Siri or good old Alexa to help you get to that point? Doesn't it make sense to take the shortest route, right? By plugging it into the GPS. So yeah, I mean, if I were being mentored, right? And I think all of us need a mentor, all of us at some point in time. What I'm generally looking for, what I'm asking for is like, hey, here are the 3, 4, 5 things on my plate that are piling up. What do you think I should attack first? And how should I go about doing that? So could you share with us maybe the process that you go through with your clients as you're working through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I'm working with clients, my big thing that I like to do is to help them create a one-page plan for their year, which really dials in, what are you trying to accomplish this year, right? How much money are you trying to make? How much time off are you trying to get? And what other things do you really want to have happen this year? And then backing into that and saying, okay, what are the changes that you have to make in your business this year if you're going to do that? And I have a framework, if you will, that I use called the Success Circle. So if you can imagine, I don't know if you guys remember the old life wheels where you would have this circle and it would have like these different sections of your life, like your health and fitness and your finance and your family and all this. And you would kind of color in the percentage of each piece of pie, on how well you were doing in that area. Well, the Success Circle is like that, but for your business. So there are these 12 areas of your business, and I would say, you want to assess those different areas. Like, how well do you know your target market? How well do you have your lead generation dialed in? How well do you have your selling system dialed in? How are you doing with your delivery? Are you really delivering and over delivering on your promises? Do you have the right team in place, right? There's 12 different pieces. And then we look at, what are you doing in each of those areas? And then we say, okay, where are the areas where you really have a deficiency, right? That's the stuff that's holding you back. And so we want to look at those things and say, how do we beef those up so that they're not dragging on you? And once we can get those, we can get rid of that drag, then things start to roll smoothly. You've got that wheel that really turns well. Then from there, we can start building out, right? But you got to have all those basic pieces in place. And so then we create a plan based on, well, okay, if your lead gen's not working well enough, what specifically do you need to change in your lead gen? Get it done. We have a list of projects that we go through, so they can just pick projects and go, oh, well, I actually need to do that. That's what goes into the plan. So that's really how I look at, getting people focused and organized on doing the right things instead of just doing a lot of things and doing them in the right order. Right. I don't care how good your team is if your lead gen sucks.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to get lead gen dialed in. But before we get lead gen dialed in, we have to understand our buyer's journey. Right. Because a lot of people are like, well, I need to generate leads. I'm like, well, if you don't know who your target audience is, you're going to generate a bunch of crappy leads. If you don't have your messaging dialed in, your lead gen's not going to work. So, we walk through things in a specific order.
Yeah, I love that, and it's funny how synergistic this is, because when I was mentoring gym owners, we had a wheel as well. We because we're gyms, we called it the flywheel, as in on a concept to rowing erg. So like you gotta rev up that flywheel, and it does. It goes in a specific order. Like if I don't know who I'm selling to, if I don't even know what I'm selling, if my product or my program isn't even dialed in, therefore like it's not going to work, then I'm not going to have success stories. I'm not going to get referrals. So like, what's the point of pumping endless amounts of leads into a failed system? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's the old, you're pouring water into a bucket full of holes.
Yeah, exactly. And we would watch business owner after business owner do that. And they would just come to us and be like, hey, you know what? I know what my problem is. I need 400 leads. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Exactly.
400 leads will capsize your business.
They can't handle it.
Exactly.
What do people come to you?
400 of the wrong leads.
Well, exactly. Even worse. What do people come to you, Laura, first? And this is what's interesting. I'm sure they're coming to you with, this is what they think their problem is, and then after you've analyzed, this is based on what you and Jeff had just said. They come to you with this is my problem, and then do you come up with actually this is the actual problem? So what do people typically come to you with, and what is actually the most common thing that they're really dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, they're coming in and they're like, look, I'm not making enough money, and what they say, like, I'm trying everything. I'm taking all these courses. I've got coaches. I've got all these people that I'm learning from, and none of it's working. And one of my first questions is, so of the things that you're doing, what are the things that you're actually completing? And they're like, well, I bought all these courses. Did you do any of them? Did you implement them? Well, no. Okay. Well, that could be a problem.
Yep.
Right? He's like, oh, I bought all the ingredients for this pie, but I didn't actually put it together. So you don't have any pie.
Yeah.
Right.
So true.
Yeah. And so
guilty as charged.
Step back and say it's not doing everything. It's doing the right thing at the right time in the right order.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, I bought this course on how to write copy using AI. And I'm like, well, okay, great, but you know who your target audience is? Like, do you really know who they are? Well, no. Well, then who are you writing to? I mean, I don't care whether it's you or you've hired an expensive copywriter or you're all excited about AI. If you don't know what to put into it, garbage in, garbage out.
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
so I help them really dial into, let's do this assessment. Let's figure out where the breakdown is, and let's fix the first part first.
Yeah, it's paying for speed as well, right? Like you could, again, everybody could figure this out on their own given enough time and finances. But we all know that both of those
Yeah.
resources are finite. Like we don't
Yes.
have infinite time. We don't have infinite finances, unless we're a multi-billionaire, in which case we've already been successful 10 times over, 100 times over. So that's not the case. So if all of us have these finite resources, then we really need to know where to invest those resources to get the maximal result. And if we can
Yeah.
work with someone like yourself who can help us find success in a faster way, create the proper
Mhm.
plan for it, we can find these like shortcuts. Essentially, like I'm paying for your experience. And if you don't mind me asking, Laura, like how long have you been doing what you do?
22 years.
Okay,
That's a
awesome.
lot of
And
Just
experience.
as a business owner.
okay.
Yeah.
And how many in that amount of time, if you had to guesstimate, or maybe you know an accurate number, like how many people have you worked with, or how many businesses have you worked with?
A little over 10,000.
Wow. So
Wow,
literally, if
you
someone
guys,
came to
this is
you,
huge.
they pay you for your service. What they're paying
Yeah.
for is the experience of 22 years with 10,000 examples. Like you've done this 10,000 times. And that's what people don't
Right.
think about with mentoring is if you get a brand new mentor from like a mom and pop-up mentorship company, you might get an inexperienced person. If they go with someone like you or they do their research on someone like you and they find out like, oh, she's working with 10,000
10,000.
entrepreneurs.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's a bit of experience there that's going to be extremely valuable.
Just a
And that's
bit.
what it makes it worth it. That's what makes it worth it. Right. So I love that.
Yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, it's funny because my clients ask me, they're like, "How do you know this? Like, you just seem to like you get inside my head and you just know like what I'm doing wrong and how to fix it."
Yeah.
Because I've been doing it for a long time. Like,
Mm.
I can't remember the last time somebody brought me something that was like brand new that I had never
Surprising.
experienced before. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours
Yeah, you
to
Mhm.
put in, you've got
mastery.
no
Like,
level. Yeah, you got no level of expertise for sure.
yeah, like
It becomes predictable, right? Like you get to a point where you've done this enough times that every entrepreneur that comes to you, you're like, oh, I mean, literally give me 5 words, say 5 words. I could probably
Mhm.
figure out exactly what you need. Like, cause
Yeah.
it is predictable in that way. I
Yeah.
know being niche down with gym owners when I was doing that, it was so predictable. We would get on a call
Yeah.
and I'd be like, no, it's not that. Like, you just need this. Like, you got to trust me here. I get it. It's hard to trust me. Trust me. Just do this. Everything will be fine. Like it's not going to burn down. I promise.
So Laura, tell us a little bit about who your avatar is. I mean, it's easy to
Yeah.
say an entrepreneur that has a wide variety.
Sure.
Who's your ideal client?
Yeah. So my ideal clients are coaches, consultants, service providers, people who are selling their time and their knowledge and their expertise, other folks. And my folks are generally personal income wise, like not company revenue wise, but they're what they're taking out of the business. They're still stuck in the 5 figures.
Mm.
And what they really want is they want a kick-ass lifestyle business. They want to personally be bringing home $250,000, putting it in their personal bank account. They want like a small part-time team, maybe a virtual assistant and some people that they can call on for projects to do some stuff. Um, they want to live the true American dream where they've got enough money to do the things that they want to do, and they've got enough free time to enjoy them.
That's
And
great.
they're doing work that lights them up, that's exciting for them. And so my job is to get them from that, $50,000, $75,000 a year income to that $250,000 a year income where they're just hitting on all cylinders and they just get up every day so excited about their life.
That's
I love
that's
that.
awesome. Yeah, you're hitting a lot of people that are our audience. So guys, if you're
It's
interested,
very similar to ours for sure.
yeah, there's a lot of people that are in our audience that are going to definitely resonate with what you're saying. So what are you doing? Because this is always a question. I mean, there's always
Mhm.
people that say, I need more leads. I need more leads. We love to say, well, actually, you need more sales. You don't need more
Right?
leads because you can have a
Yep.
packed calendar
Yep.
of leads and
And waste your time.
waste your time.
Yep.
So for you, What do you think when somebody comes to you and they say, "Hey, I need more leads," what comes to mind first?
Yeah, so my first question would be, I always ask, like, who's your ideal lead?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, leads is just a general term. It's like cars, right? I need a car. Well, what kind of car do you need? Right? What do you really want? And that often just stops them in their tracks. It's like, well, anybody who wants to buy my service. That's not what we're talking about.
No.
And so if they get really stuck there, I say, okay, well, let's assume you knew who you wanted to attract. What would you do if you got them? Like, what's your process for turning that lead into a client that's paying you money? And they go, well, I have a call with them. Great. What would you say? And I just try to ask them questions to get them into the details and into the specifics so that they have that aha moment for themselves where they go, oh crap, I don't need leads. I need to know what to do. Like, I need a better system for bringing in new clients and
Quality
identifying,
leads. Yeah.
right, who's the right
Quality.
client? Where am I going to find those potential clients? Because it's not about leads, it's about potential clients.
Mm-hmm.
And then what am I going to do to turn them from prospective client or potential client into actual client?
So there's with what you're doing, are you showing because there's the question I have is there are sales, which of course is the lifeblood to any business. And then because these are people that you're dealing with that are entrepreneurs, there's leadership.
Yes.
What's your take on the leadership piece? We just had a guest by the name of Tim Arnold on the show, and Tim is a leadership coach. I think for what you're doing, you're also mentoring people on being a better leader. What does leadership mean to you?
I think for me, leadership always starts with self-leadership. Okay? Because if you're not leading yourself into the life that you want to live, how are you going to lead others?
Yeah.
Like, if your house is a mess, how are you going to help other people really effectively with theirs? And I'm not saying I have it all dialed in and I'm perfect.
Who does?
Right? Right? We've all got, this is where we can be better, especially in leading and in leading our own lives. But for me, leadership starts with you having your own house in order and continually working on your own self. And then it gets into, for me, leadership, so much of it often ends up being modeling. So I'll give you an example. Right now I'm in a place where my dad's having some trouble and I'm spending, he lives about 3 or 4 hours away from me, and I'm spending 3 days a week taking care of my dad and helping him kind of get some stuff going. His wife passed away, so he's just in a lot of change. And occasionally that 3 days a week bleeds over into other things. And, like yesterday, I had to move some calls with some clients because some stuff with dad bled over into the rest of life. I had to do a Zoom call where I was interviewing somebody. I had to do it from my car on my phone. Like, it's really not ideal stuff. But all the feedback I get from my clients is, thank you for modeling the kind of business that we want to run,
Yeah.
where you have the capacity to take care of things outside of work, where you have the flexibility to, step in and help family members and put family first. And so, getting all choked up thinking about it because they've just been so kind, and saying, like, thanks for showing us this is possible.
Yeah.
So
thank you so
that's
much,
what it
Laura,
is
for
for me.
sharing that. And I know you'd mentioned, about your dad with me a few weeks ago when we were chatting, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things about being an entrepreneur that's so great. When you have your business working on all cylinders, it affords you the flexibility to be able to be there for others. And
Oh, it's
like
the best. Oh, yeah.
Jeff, you've
Like, it's me all teared up thinking about it.
No, well, sure. I mean, we're all going to go through that. Our parents are going to go through what my father calls it, the winter of his life. And Jeff and Chad both know this. Chad, our producer. I mean, just a few weeks ago, my father was on death's door, and I told the guys, I said, stoically, I said, well, guys, I might be losing my dad tonight, and both of them were like, what? And the thing is that I've got a team of people that I know that when the fit hits the shan, they can pick up the stuff so that I can deal, because we all have stuff going on. Like, we have a team member who just texted us and said, "Hey, I can't make it to today's session. I'm putting my dog down 90 minutes, but we're there for her."
Right.
And that's that type of leadership and opportunity to be able to help. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, no matter how much money you make, and I was talking to Chaz about this right before you hopped on. I mean, you can make all the money in the world, and money's great. You can't take it with you. And the memories that you have with your dad, and the memories that Jeff that Jeff has right now, like Jeff's got 2 young girls at home, like those are priceless times. They're priceless.
Yeah, I got to share this story, because this to me was like leadership squared, right? And just talking about clients and sales and having the right clients. I was on a call yesterday with one of my clients. I have a group coaching program that I run, and we meet every single week. And I have never missed a call. And I had to miss a call the other day for dad stuff. And so it was a training. And so I said, guys, like, I can't be there live. I'll record the training. I'll send it to you. Sorry, never missed a call. I was on a call yesterday with a client, and she said, hey, just so you know, if that ever happens again, you can reach out to us. And one of us will come on and run the meeting and do a training. It might not be the topic that you had in mind, but we all do stuff that could help the other members, and, lean on us. And I was like, holy cow, my clients are saying, we'll do the work, right?
That's
like
great.
we're a community. You're a part of a community now, and we've got your back. And our number one core value is got your back. And they flipped it around on me.
Love it.
And it was just like, oh, wow. Oh, like, I never thought to ask a client to
I love it.
step in and help me.
Yeah.
It was just this, like, mind-blowing shift of, oh, wow. Like, yeah, it is. When you have good clients, it is a relationship, and it's not just you helping them, right? They're also helping you, and so it was. That's what
there's something. There's something to be said about the fact that when when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and the teacher actually learns more than the student.
Yeah.
And that's I mean, I don't know if you noticed, I turned around and I started writing stuff down on that because the members or the clients, they have something to offer to the other members.
Yeah.
There's something to be learned. And I was, so Jeff, I mean, this is something that we could, Laura, this is huge, because for us, we do our group calls, and then we have our full community calls. There's nothing saying that we couldn't say, hey, you know what? We're going to give 20 minutes to allow one of our members to just teach on what they do specifically, so that they can share it with others if they choose to. And there'd be tons of value to that.
Yeah. We do a thing, we call it a best idea exchange. And so we'll take our group and we'll have them in breakout groups, and they just go around the room, and for just like 3 to 5 minutes, they share, like, hey, here's something that I'm doing in my business. It's working really well for me. And it could be anything. It could be a front end thing, a back end thing, a mindset thing, a meditation they do, videos they watch, like anything. Anything that they're using to make themselves and their business better. And they
Yeah.
go around the room and share, and then we bring them back and share some ideas, and they write down all their ideas. So we capture those into a big document, and they love it. They just love the sharing, and it bonds them and helps them connect with each other, and it helps them recognize, like, oh, hey, yeah, I know stuff.
Yeah. And it helps them with it helps them with their pitch and delivery of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
So let's shift some gears here, because we do this typically on the show, and it's one of my favorite. And you said right before we started that you recently had one. Every one of us, and the listeners as well, we've all had a sales fail.
Yeah.
And at the time that it happens, it can be embarrassing. Of course, some people call it a mistake. We like to say that in the dojo, it's the safest place to make mistakes, because it's an opportunity to learn. And I read a book years ago that it's not a mistake. It's a learning take. So what's the learning take that you could share with us, Laura, on a sales fail? And what was the outcome? Go ahead.
I'm still in the middle of it. I can tell you the outcome is like, damn. So I've got a new product that I put together, and I was I've been selling it just as an online thing, and I was like, well, you know what, I'm going to do a live version of it, because I like to train live, and I think, it just helps a lot. And so last week, it was like, Thursday, I was like, I'm going to do this thing live, and I'm going to just do a fast launch on it, and I'm just going to put it out there. And so I wrote a bunch of emails, and I put together a sales page, and I like bam, 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 bam. And I pulled a subset of my list, and because I didn't want to just do it to everybody, I wanted to do a test. I pulled a subset, I sent the emails out, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And I was like, even if I just had like 10 people, it'll be great, because I can get in there and do it and practice and really make some connections. I'm excited about it. Like, crickets, nothing, zero. Here I am thinking, like I'm used to having, like 50, 60, 100 people in a program, when I'm doing a launch. And so I'm thinking like, 10, if I just get 10, that'll be great. Zero.
Wow.
Nothing. And so, I was sitting there today, because today was the last day that it was open, and it's been just nothing. So I was like, okay, like, all right, this was a test. And what did I learn? Okay, I learned that that subset of my list isn't engaged enough. They don't trust me enough. They don't like me enough to want to do something live with me. Okay. These are people I need to invest in and connect with. All right. Second, my offer is obviously not as sexy as I think it is. Right? So totally got to get to work on that. Third, what was I thinking? Just going like, this was I guess the curse of knowledge and a bit of arrogance, just thinking like, oh, I've done this a million times, so I can just like snap this thing together and boom, done. I'm good enough. I can just do that. I'm not. I need more time, more planning, more testing, a second set of eyes on everything. This is say, don't believe your own press. Right. And I'm normally a very confident person. And so I put it out there, and I'll take my lumps and take my lessons and go, okay, let's do this better next time.
Good. Even though you've had then that's such a great story, because I mean, we've all tried and failed. Do you as someone who has is a mentor to so many, do you also get coaching to help you stay on track? Yeah, that was a quick answer.
Coaches need coaches.
I love it.
It's one of our mantras. Coaches need coaches.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me years ago, you can't read the label when you're inside the bottle. And your coach is there to read the label, to see the things that you cannot see because you're inside the business. You're too attached to every decision you've ever made. You have the curse of knowledge. You can't see your offers with the beginner's mind. So you skip steps, you make assumptions.
Ooh.
You don't, you just cannot, one of the things that I tell people a lot is like, you can't write your own copy because you're going to skip steps. And the longer you've been doing something, the worse it is,
Yeah.
and I'll have somebody write some copy for me and I'll think, God, this is so basic. It's just so, and it's like, oh yeah, but the
That's
people
what people need.
people that don't know me yet, they need the details.
Yeah.
Yep.
They need that, and I can't give it to them. So yeah, coaches need coaches.
This was recently said, and I was in Toronto 2.5 weeks ago, speaking at, of all things, a real estate event, which is not the niche that Jeff and I focus on. Was asked to talk about networking and the power of networking, which is in and of itself a skill. And it was interesting because I just went into the basics, and the two people that organized the event, they said to me when it was done, the audience had been going up to them saying, this was great, and like the content that I gave wasn't anything that I made up. This was just through experience that I learned from other coaches and mentors myself, and I compiled it and delivered it in a certain manner. And what was interesting was these are two experts in their field, and they said the same thing. They said, you know what, we need to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
So they're experts, they're multimillionaires, and they're helping other multimillionaires. And all these people, there was about 100 people in the room and a little bit over. And the majority of the room were going up to Kyle and Danielle saying, Corey and Danielle saying, wow, that was great. We needed to hear that. We needed to hear that. So some people know, and just because they know, like they might have read a book, doesn't mean that they actually apply.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I can remember years ago, I was finishing up my MBA and I was in this, it was like the last course that you take is this big strategy course where you're supposed to pull together everything that you've learned and all this stuff. And I'm talking to the guy and I was like, yeah, so, when you do strategy for clients or whatever, and he's like, well, I've never actually done that. He'd been an academic his whole life and he'd read books and written books, but he'd never actually worked in the businesses that he was advising people how to work with. And I was just like, all righty then. Yeah.
Yeah. That can be problematic. We dealt with that a lot. Either what Joe and I do, like if you haven't been in the grind of sales yourself, like it's hard to understand and like really connect with people. And then also like when I was mentoring gym owners, if I hadn't owned a gym, like I wouldn't really have the experience to share with them. That experience is extremely valuable. So no, I love that point. You gotta get your hands dirty, right? That's required.
My clients, when I talk about, doing cold calls or something, and I have, just a way that I look at it. To me, it's just a survey. And they're like, well, how do you get comfortable doing calls? I said, well, I called for 3 hours a night, 3 days a week for 3 years. I've made 30,000 of them calls. Like after a while, you just get comfortable with stuff when you do it.
You got to put in the reps.
Yeah. Like I have the scars and the bumps and the bruises from just doing stuff. How do I know how to do things? Because I've done them and I've made all the mistakes.
Yeah. So how do people get a hold of you, Laura? If somebody wants to learn more about Simple Success Plans and be able to get you as a mentor or find out more about how you can help them crack that code to go from a 5-figure income to that dream life that they want. Literally that dream that you've helped so many thousands of people already do. How can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
Hit me up on my website at simplesuccessplans.com. My contact information is all there. My email's super simple. It's laura@simplesuccessplans.com. And I tell people, just hit me up, reach out to me. Like I'm a real person. I'll get on a call with you. We'll have a conversation. I'll see
He
what's
is a
up.
real person. It's such a great pleasure to be. I've had a couple calls with Laura, and I encourage anybody who's listening, please do that, because you're gonna get a lot of value. It's great, and the nice thing is there's no pressure. Where are the best social places to follow you? I know you're on LinkedIn. You do a great job there.
Yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. There's Laura Posey on LinkedIn. You can friend me on Facebook. On Facebook, you can look me up, but my Facebook handle is actually Sales Magnet.
All right.
Yeah, I wrote a book years ago called Sales Magnetism, and it was when Facebook was first getting started, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And they're like, be careful, you can never change it. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. So yeah, you can hit me up there. I do nothing on Twitter or X or whatever it's called today. It's just never been my platform. Yeah, I'm more of a Facebook gal. There's a Simple Success Plans Facebook group. You can jump in there. It's free.
Perfect.
Ask you to agree to the rules. Don't be a jerk. Don't sell stuff. People.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, yeah, well, you guys definitely go check those things out. Go follow Laura wherever you can. And if you can make the time, which you can, book a call. Go find out if this is a good fit for you, especially if, as you described, Laura, they're an entrepreneur that's selling services, selling their time, something they're passionate about, and they want to expand, scale, et cetera, and navigate a lot of the problems that we entrepreneurs encounter. To be a good opportunity for you. So thank you guys so much for listening. And Laura, thank you so much for your time. We're excited to catch up with you hopefully another time soon. Maybe get you back on the show in the future.
Sure, yeah. Anytime. I'm always happy to talk with you guys.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Love it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Chaz, take us out.